he is.
Yeah, I'm good. Oh, hello, citizens of Gotham. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching The Political Vigilante. Back in the fancy studio, everybody. Come on now. I'm all tan and lean from Hawaii, and I am joined by two guests, everybody, from the Convo Couch, Fiorella. Let's show her on the camera. There it is. And the also lovely Ron Placone.
What's up, everybody? Hello, Internet. Good to see ya.
Hello.
So you, both of you have just been live streaming up storms lately on your own respective channels. Fee, tell the viewers, if most of them probably do know, but if they don't, about the Convo Couch.
Okay, so the Combo Couch is an independent media show. I have a co-host. His name is Craig, quote, Pasta Jardula, and we talk about politics. We interview people, local candidates, congressional candidates. Today we had a live interview in the studio with Rachel Rossi, who is running against Jackie Lacey, who for Angelenos is the DA who has refused to prosecute corrupt law enforcement. Then we also had Lauren Ashcraft, who is running for New York's 12th congressional district as a Democratic Socialist. She is part of Brand New Congress. So we just interview.
Yeah, I like her. She's great.
Yeah, she's a great interview. We asked her tough questions. You know, Pasta asked her some libertarian questions, and that was awesome. And she knew how to answer those pretty well.
What if we just treated healthcare like a car sharing app? Is that an option? No? Okay. Point taken.
It was funny. We were arguing right before she got there, and then she was like, "Hi," and we're like, "Okay, hi."
She was live? Is she here?
No, she was well on
you mean
Skype.
when she arrived on the
Skype?
Skypery? All right.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
But yeah, no, we're on Rockfin as well, like these other guys, and we're on part of the MCSC network too with Nico House. We often put our videos there too. So.
Right on. And Ron, what do you got going on, buddy? Are you going on the road anywhere soon? Did you confirm some new tour dates?
I have a buttload of tour dates.
Well,
First of all, so Santa Clarita starting off the year, January 25th, we're going to Santa Clarita. Before that, actually, tomorrow night, I'm doing a set at Flappers Comedy Club, which if you're a native to Los Angeles and you want to go to that show, email me right now or before the end of this, whenever. And I'll put you on the guest list. RonPlacone.com. Email me. I'll throw you on the guest list in Los Angeles tomorrow night if you're looking for something fun to do.
Nice.
You know. But Santa Clarita, starting off the year, January 25th. I'm going to be there with you, Graham. February 8th, Tucson, Arizona. February 29th, San Francisco, California. In March, we finally figured out our Florida run. Tickets are available now. We just confirmed it today. So we got Orlando, March 12th. Tampa, March 13th. Or Miami, March 14th. We were that Tampa date. We finally locked it down.
It was squirrely. It was slippery.
That's my territory, Florida, right there.
We're going to be there in March, and we finally got the third date locked out. So our Florida run is booked. Grab your tickets. We had a great time with you last year. We can't wait to go back. And going out through the rest of 2020, we have so many dates already available. I mean, Detroit, Indianapolis, Portland, Seattle. I'm going to be in Pittsburgh, Louisville, Kentucky, Chicago, Milwaukee. And then we got some stuff that's coming up. We should have everything completely confirmed by the end of the month.
So go to RonPlaconeComedy.com.
RonPlacone.com.
Who are you again?
Go to JohnComedy.com. RonPlacone.com.
Joe Biden 33330
30330
cornpop.leghair.
GrannyPetrol.org. That's my website.
Join us on the road, everybody. It's awesome. It's so much fun. And, you know, I always say you come to a progressive comedy tour show, you come alone, but you leave a part of a community. And we're coming back to Orlando and Miami because both those shows sold out last time. And Tampa, we've never been to. So come on, Tampa. Show us some love.
Show us some love, Tampa.
I want to just say hello to everybody watching here.
Oh, and wait, can I mention real quick, you also meet some cool people potentially. There's a good chance in San Francisco, Shahid Buttar is going to be there. There's a good chance. So Cenk Uygur is supposed to be in Santa Clarita because that's his district. And who else do we got? I think Lauren Ashcraft's going to be in New York.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's
So
the thing
New
about
York, September 10th. Tickets aren't available yet, but they're coming.
We always have, look, we've had Jill Stein came to one of our shows. Tim Canova came to our show. Like we've had name people come to our shows, progressive candidates. Amy Valea came to a show.
Yep.
2 shows actually. And
Stephen Jaffe.
Stephen Jaffe have come to, and Malcolm Fleischer from TYT was at a show, and we get representatives from Movement for a People's Party. Hildebrand.
David Hildebrand was there.
The Green Party.
BFF.
Yeah. So it's come out. It's not just a comedy show. It's really you get involved in a whole community. So I just want to say hello to everybody on the live stream. Please hit the like button. Like and share, spread it out. Action for Assange. That's Taylor. She will be doing the she will moderate. So get ready, trolls. She's got the B ready, the big B. Rhymes with clock, starts with a B. Get fucking ready. She was just, or Pasta was just on their Action for Assange. They do a live stream every Wednesday at 7 Pacific, I believe.
He was there, and they were having a lot of great conversations about Assange and, about the current state of affairs. You guys should check it out. It's a lot of dedication. They go on there for hours, and they start pretty late because a lot of them are on the East Coast or different time zones as well. So, yeah, it was a great show.
They start at 10 o'clock on the East Coast, and they're very up to speed. And I did an interview with Taylor at the rally that we were all at. And one of the things she brought up was the importance of WikiLeaks and Julian Assange in terms of ending war. It was Assange who said, correct me if I'm wrong, if wars can be started with lies, they can be ended with truth. I'm paraphrasing that to some effect. But
That's a great point.
Let's talk about that. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood, and we want to talk about the current status of what is going on with Iran. So let's go to the wide shot so we can see that graphic. Isn't that cool? Look at the way it moves like that. So I want to show everybody. So as it stands today, this is Tuesday, January 9th. We have killed Soleimani. They retaliated with airstrikes that seem like they were designed to just say, hey, we retaliated, but we didn't really want to hurt anybody, because they knew that if they were to kill Americans, then that's because America has this very arrogant view that our lives are more important than anybody else's. So if you kill an American, well, then we got to bomb your whole country. And then Trump said, what, we're standing down. And there's this sort of frail piece he's talking about. Meanwhile, 3,500 new troops are being deployed like as we speak. And 2 new resolutions. So Bernie Sanders in the Senate and the Congress introduced this resolution.
With Ro Khanna.
With Ro Khanna. So they did that this morning, basically, saying, and what exactly is it called? Or what do they call it? They call it the...
Well, so Congress just passed a War Powers resolution to prevent Donald Trump from waging war against Iran without congressional approval. Then Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna were doing something separate, where it was a resolution to just prevent that in general, to prevent any president from waging war against a country without congressional approval. So that was their initial attempt. However, it has to go through the Senate, so it is a lot of kind of like posturing in a way, because we know that the Senate is Republican, and it's not. It's probably not likely going to pass. But it was introduced by Bernie Sanders and Ro Khanna.
Well, let's talk about the Republican Senate real quick, because there's a Senator, Mike Lee, who came out and said this. I want to put this on the screen about the security briefing.
The briefing lasted only 75 minutes, whereupon our briefers left. This, however, is not the biggest problem I have with the briefing, which I would add was probably the worst briefing I've seen, at least on a military issue, in the 9 years I've served in the United States Senate. What I found so distressing about that briefing was that one of the messages we received from the briefers was, do not debate, do not discuss the issue of the appropriateness of further military intervention against Iran. And that if you do, you'll be emboldening Iran. I find this insulting and demeaning not personally, but to the office that each of the 100 senators in this building happens to hold. It is not acceptable for officials within the executive branch of government, I don't care whether they're with the CIA, with the Department of Defense, or otherwise, to come in and tell us that we can't debate and discuss the appropriateness of military intervention against Iran. It's un-American, it's unconstitutional, and it's wrong. Every time they pull a stunt like this, I'm willing to consider and introduce any and every War Powers Act resolution.
Garrett, hey, that was Mike. And look, when it comes to constitutional questions between the legislative and the executive, Mike Lee is a partisan for that, for his point of view on the Constitution.
It's a new leaf for that guy.
So what do you think of that, first of all, and where we're at with this? I'm obviously, it should be noted, we haven't asked Congress to go to war, getting congressional approval for war since World War II. So
Right.
While this is scary, this like the last couple days are like, are we going to go World War III? Are Russia and China going to jump in? I mean, we're on the brink of a really horrible situation. If what comes out of this is everybody going, hey, we've been given presidents in both parties for decades way too much power, and we're going to curtail that. If that's what comes out of this, then I guess it's a good thing. But Ron, first of all, what's your reaction to this?
Well, I'm going to go out on a crazy limb here and say that a Republican from Utah and I probably don't have a lot in common.
Whoa!
I beg to differ.
Wow!
I bet
don't
we
make
have
this so political, Ron.
I bet we don't have much in common. And I don't know. I'd like to be a little more optimistic here, but I kind of have a feeling this was just sort of soundbite theater. Do we really believe that this dude entertains some fantasy that the military-industrial complex doesn't pull all the puppet strings of him and everybody like him? Do we really think he thinks that? I don't think so. I think that was just grandstanding theater because they want us to believe that they actually want to make decisions, that we actually have a say in these decisions. We don't. It's the military-industrial complex. They're pulling the strings. Presidents will come and go. And let's keep in mind, that's why they didn't like Trump in the first place. They did not like Trump because they didn't think he was a willing participant, just like George W. was, just like Barack Obama was, just like people before that were. They didn't like him because they were like, this guy's an idiot who's going to say something stupid and spill the beans on something. So yeah, I mean, it's a nice soundbite, but I'd be surprised if it was any more than that.
Fiorella?
I think there are actual people, maybe not necessarily all of them in the Republican Party, but there are a good amount, though, that are against war. We've seen Tucker Carlson speak out against war, which is, I mean, he's right on that. I don't like the guy, but it's like, damn, I have to say now that that he is right on that. However, I agree with Ron.
Do you think there's a lot, though?
But I think there is more than what we think, and I think that people are pushing that climate there, because if you look at someone like Tulsi Gabbard, she is whipping up a lot of Republican and independent votes of people who may not be fond of the Democratic Party, but they're like, hey, Donald Trump wasn't the anti-interventionist I thought he would be. I thought he said he was going to run as a guy that was going to drain the swamp, get rid of these people. But all he has done is fallen in line to people like Pompeo in the military-industrial complex. But I agree with Ron that somebody who is a politician very well knows that the people who are controlling and driving this aren't necessarily Trump, but the people around him like Pompeo, the military-industrial complex, who benefit on both sides of the party from war. And if they can get people to hate on Trump and make him look like he's just another puppet, it just serves their benefit. So I think there's multiple layers going on here. I mean, I think the public and is pushing for an anti-war kind of agenda, but I also think these people are also kind of using Donald Trump once again as a scapegoat to say, oh, we are better than him. Look at this president. Look at what he's doing. So, well,
that's a great question. So that brings up to this so Congress and now this Bernie, which is sort of with Congress and the Senate, of limiting the Presidential's War Powers Act. I want to have faith in that too, but I have a similar level of skepticism that you have, Ron, because this democratically controlled Congress just voted to increase Trump's war budget.
Right.
He has been given $132 billion more than Obama, and Obama had an offensive military budget. Like, this is the same democratically controlled Congress that just voted to extend the goddamn Patriot Act. They voted to give Trump his border wall.
Oh, they gave him a new NAFTA. I mean, they gave him a wonderful holiday season.
Yeah.
Really? Well, they were impeaching him. They gave him a lot of gifts.
Yeah. So is this limiting and people actually paying attention? Like, again, it is great soundbite theater. I do appreciate this Mike Lee. And then Bernie reiterated what he said, because I guess Bernie was in the same meeting, obviously, because he's a senator, saying, we're not allowed to debate this? What is the point of having a democracy if we can't debate things? We're supposed to be.
Right.
That's what a democracy is. We get to debate. There isn't just one leader, a dictator, who just waves their scepter and we all fall in line.
Although Sarah Sanders today on Fox News basically implied there should be. I think that's what I think what we're all getting at, and I think this is one kind of bright light amidst the dark clouds is that it's so out in the open now that it's like, hey, we're an empire, we're the bad guys. You have a problem with that? Piss off. And finally, people are like, whoa, this is messed up. The fact that Sarah Huckabee Sanders is basically saying, why should anyone discuss this? Just let the president do what he wants, and the military-industrial complex will dictate him. And it's good that this terrorist is burning in hell. And now people are waking up and they'll be like, it's kind of messed up that anybody from another country who does something our government decides they don't like, we just call them a terrorist and illegally assassinate
That's
them.
a precedent,
That's kind of messed up. Yeah, we shouldn't do that. If somebody did that to us, we'd be pretty upset. Maybe our priorities are a little backwards here. Maybe we're not the good guy. I think more people are realizing that.
They are.
But
That's the one silver lining.
I think that we can trust our media, because here's what they said about 3 years ago. Soleimani 3 years ago.
Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, the leader of Iran's elite special operations Quds Force, when Iraqi troops pushed back Islamic State militants in the key town of Jerf al-Sakr late last month, Iranian state media and Iraqi news websites suggested Soleimani masterminded the victory. As military advisor, Soleimani is also credited with leading Shia militias and Iraqi troops in key wins against Islamic State forces, advancing on villages surrounding the capital, Baghdad. The Islamic State terrorists sought to surround Baghdad, but they failed in reaching their ominous goals thanks to Iran's support, said senior Iranian military official Esmail Qani on Sunday.
Well, so now
6 years later, this guy will be the public enemy number
most
2.
evil guy in the world.
You've never heard of him, but trust us, he was up to some shady shit.
Yeah, and all of a sudden now he becomes number one bad guy that we need to get. So
yeah, and you heard about that all the time on the campaign trail. I mean, don't you remember in the debates even Hillary and Trump were talking about him for a good hour. Remember that part? Oh wait, that never happened.
No. Oh wait a minute. Well, wait, no. Hillary's had some good things. She's had some good things.
Oh yeah, she's got a track record on Iran.
She's got a great track record.
Hillary would have been so much better than Donald Trump, wouldn't she?
Oh my God, she wouldn't. We wouldn't be at war at all.
Not at
Hillary,
all.
here's her as a
Guys,
senator.
look, I am glad that we are on the brink of World War III, and a lot of people are doing their part by reminding everybody of who they voted for almost 4 years ago.
I voted for Hillary
They're
Clinton.
saving the world.
Oh, you voted for Hillary. Okay, so here's her as a senator.
Our democracy, with its tradition of accountable power and open debate, is America at its best. And that's what we need, America at our best, as we deliberately and resolutely confront the threat posed by the Iranian regime. Now, make no mistake, Iran poses a threat to our allies and our interests in the region and beyond, including the United States. The Iranian president has held a
Does she really need
conference
to look at her
denying
note card for that one?
She didn't know which.
Including, oh yeah, that's us. Yeah,
Sorry, I thought we were a
States.
military
United
industrial
States,
complex.
that's us. Yeah.
And we're in the region? Oh, well, wait a minute. We have as many military bases in the region as all the 10 countries combined.
They are a threat, and by they, I mean Iran, and they are a threat to the United States. And united, we stand.
Oh my God.
Oh, there's more.
Is it possible for her to be likable ever?
No.
Ever.
Like everything she says, you're just like, ah.
It's so. No. This is 2007.
Holocaust, and has issued bellicose statement after bellicose statement calling for Israel and the United States to be wiped off the map. His statements are even more disturbing and urgent when viewed in the context of the regime's quest to acquire nuclear weapons. The regime also uses its influence and resources in the region to support terrorist elements that attack Israel. Hezbollah's attack on Israel this summer using Iranian weapons clearly demonstrates Iran's malevolent influence, even beyond its borders. We also have evidence, although it is by no means conclusive, of attack.
That doesn't matter. Why would you need conclusive evidence? We didn't need conclusive evidence for Syria.
She really missed her calling to be an MSNBC stenographer. She could have nailed it. She did a great job reading that war-approved press release.
That's really great.
She really nailed it. It shouldn't have been Chelsea. It should have been her.
Oh, well,
Didn't Chelsea have like a news thing for a day, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is in 2007, so she's
evolved.
She's evolved. She's getting ready to run for president. But of course, when she lost as president, she became Secretary of State and helped Obama take us from 2 wars to 7. Mm-hmm. And then 20 countries donated to the Clinton Foundation. And when she became Secretary of State, all 20 countries, total coincidence, all got defense contracts. Total coincidence. There's more. This is fantastic.
I love it.
Using Iranian supplied or manufactured weaponry against our own American soldiers. As I have long said and will continue to say, U.S. policy must be clear and unequivocal. We cannot, we should not, we must not permit Iran to build or acquire nuclear weapons. And in dealing with this threat, as I have also said for a long time, no option can be taken off the table. But America must proceed deliberately and wisely. And we must proceed as a unified nation. The smartest and strongest policy will be one forged through the institutions of our democracy. That is the genius of our American system and our constitutional duty. We have witnessed these past 6 years, until the most recent election of a new Congress by the American people, the cost of congressional dereliction of its oversight duty. A vital role entrusted to Congress by our constituents and enshrined in and even required by our Constitution. So we are here today because the price that has been paid in blood and treasure through the rush to war in Iraq and the incompetence of its execution and managing the aftermath, in the excesses of military contracting abuses and the inadequate supply of body armor and armored vehicles on the ground, have led to a loss of confidence among our allies and the American people in this administration. Therefore, Mr. President, we cannot and we must not allow recent history to repeat itself. We continue to experience the consequences of unchecked presidential action. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, but this president was allowed for too long to commit blunder after blunder under cover of darkness.
Let's be real clear. Blunder means war's not a bad idea, just how you did it.
Just how you do it.
That's the same thing that they're saying, the Democrats are now saying about Trump. Blunder pulling us out of Syria and then going back in.
Right.
Blunder in killing Soleimani. Blunder. Not bad that you killed the guy or put us on the brink of World War III, just not warring enough. And this is all under the guise of Bush got us into these 2 ridiculous wars. One of them, she voted for them. Mm-hmm. Right? This is one of the reasons she lost in 2008. You see all these debates
They kept bringing up Iraq.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they kept bringing up her flip-flop on healthcare.
Yes.
From the 90s. And I love how she has a heart pin on for this whole thing. She's like, I am saying this with love. The guy who is currently bombing the shit out of brown people, not doing it right. I will get it right. Trust my heart.
She focuses a lot on the cost of war monetarily, and she flat out says it. I thought she was going to mention something about the cost of lives.
No.
No.
Doesn't matter.
And then Iran can't have any nuclear weapons. They cannot, but we can, right?
Well, hold on. You remember when Iran bombed Hiroshima? Oh shit, that was us. Oh God, I got that wrong. I'm sorry. But they bombed Nagasaki. Oh no, we did both of those cities. I'm sorry. I keep getting this screwed up.
I'm noticing a trend.
There's a lot of, because there's only one country that's ever detonated a nuclear weapon, and it's the good old US of A. And the other thing that's so funny about this, you just see how she'll just say, most politicians, whatever needs to be said at that time. So Bush's 2 wars weren't popular at this point in late 2007. Recruitment numbers were down. And then here's another weird coincidence. A recession hit, and a bunch of people had to join the military because there was no jobs. There's no connection. By the way, there's no connection at all. There's no connection. All this, and why is he not spending? And again, you say, it's only about money. Who cares that we've killed brown people? She doesn't care. She's a rich white lady. And what happens when she is Secretary of State for Obama? What does she do? Laughs when Gaddafi gets killed, which opens up slave trading markets.
Usually comedians laugh at their own jokes when it's not that funny. And that's kind of like where she was going at. We came, we saw, he died.
Yeah.
No one else finds I'll laugh. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
No one else finds that funny. You're a psycho.
You're a psycho.
You're kind of sick in the head.
You're a psychopath. And then she stopped being Secretary of State because she was running because it was her turn.
Yeah.
So, but the thing I want to point out is I don't know that it's fair to say the military-industrial complex has influence over every aspect of our life. I mean, here's an ad on MSNBC. This looks exciting.
There might be a terrorist.
Oh, Raytheon.
Oh, there they are. The saviors.
We see these beautiful pictures at night from the decks of these 2 U.S. Navy vessels. I am tempted
Brian Williams.
to quote
This is
the great Leonard Cohen, I'm guided by the beauty of our weapons.
Again now, Trump launches missile. Brian Williams and MSNBC, the so-called liberal station, is yay. Remember when Fareed Zakaria said Trump became president today?
Oh, yeah.
That's what makes you president.
That's the first time they praised him.
Yes.
When he dropped bombs on Syria.
Yep. When he dropped bombs on Syria. This is Raytheon, who, by the way, after we killed Soleimani, oil stock and Raytheon stock went up.
Well, and Trump tweeted about that. Trump's been tweeting today. He's like, hey, your stocks are doing great. Because everyone's trending because he accidentally typed 9 instead of 1. Instead of saying 401k, he typed 409k, which is, goofy and another of many. Those are actual blunders that he makes, the blunders he makes on Twitter every time he tweets. But, the big point is, it's like, no, this is just another, again, here's an on the surface. This guy has no subtlety. Hey, don't pay attention to this war. Look at the stock market. It's doing good. That's part of the reason we do this thing. They're hand in hand. Donald Trump doesn't have a poker face. He doesn't know how to not just show his hand. And hopefully it's waking the world up, because it's always been this way. General Smedley wrote the book decades and decades and decades ago. It's not changed. It's always been this way, and it's continuing this way. And why do you think Raytheon airs these commercials on MSNBC? Who advertises on news networks? People who want to get the word out about a product. Is anyone in the market for a new tank or a new bomb? Well,
let's be fair. I was sitting there a couple years ago, and I was like, hey, honey, the new F-18s are out. Let's get a new F-18.
I have an idea for a new way of surfing.
Yes.
I got a plan.
I know where we need to go on vacation. A place place we can bomb.
They're buying coverage, and we all know this.
Right.
They're buying favorable coverage.
And it's interesting because we had Mark Sloboda on, who has been on RT, and he has. We were talking about Iran, and he was primarily saying, this isn't necessarily World War III because China and Russia are likely not to get involved. But what Iran has done by responding directly to strategic attacks on our sort of resources, on our symbolic needs, is they're giving us the go-to to say, we are not like you. We're not going to go and attack you and kill one of your leaders. That's exactly what we did. So we're just going to do this to kind of placate to the domestic demand. Because right now, all the United States has done is created solidarity between Iran, Iraq, and the Middle East in solidarity against U.S. imperialism. So now this whole thing has backfired because it's putting it out in the open, like he said. And is it better to have a leader like Trump, who's an incompetent leader, but he's just as bad as, say, a Hillary Clinton, but she's much more intelligent and competent about how she goes about it. She's much more hypocritical, much more of a psychopath in the sense of being able to lie straight to the American people. I think it's almost better to have somebody like Trump who doesn't have a filter, who puts it all out in the open and isn't strategic or a poker face about the whole situation.
I think you've seen a meme or two. That's what I'm worried about.
Well, it's a valid point. It's one of the things I've said. I go, Trump is just the most vulgar version of what presidents have been doing.
Yeah.
He's just vulgarly going, hey, stocks are up. Who cares?
We're going to stay in Afghanistan until we get all their resources, right? Isn't that the... You don't say that out loud.
No, we're keeping the troops to guard the oil. What do you think they're there?
Flat out.
He just says it. He doesn't lie to us with this protect our interests. What? Oil. That oil. Those interests? Is that what you're talking about? So while there's a lot about Trump I don't like, in some ways, I think he sort of needed to happen. I think it's like an alcoholic that needed to hit rock bottom.
It was going to happen no matter what. And, it's better it's this guy who's just the embodiment of everything that's wrong with our contemporary society.
Yeah, and it's the thing... I want to show you this clip. This is we've been trying to get into Iran for decades. Mm-hmm. We've all talked about this. We're all aware of this. Is Mossadegh was elected in 1953. He was democratically elected. He wanted to nationalize the oil and say, get out of here, England and America. And then that's when the newly formed CIA, formerly OSS, got him out of there.
Well, there's Medea Benjamin wrote a book, Medea Benjamin from Code Pink, called, I believe it's just called Inside Iran, and it just gives such a great historical perspective of Iran, and it starts even before 1953, and it just goes through the timeline. I read it last year, and it's just like and some of the things I was already aware of, a lot of things I wasn't, and it's just like every single thing. Yeah, they had this democratically elected person, and they had a lot of culture, and they had a movie industry, and they had all these... Then the United States showed up and was like, we're going to ruin all this. Then things got better again. Then the United States showed up. Then things got better. Then the United States came. It's just like...
You know what?
Very, very theme there.
What book follows that? It's a fictional book I read in high school. It was The Kite Runner.
Oh,
that,
yes.
That book literally follows how... They were talking about how the United States, how Iran was beautiful before the United States came in there, and how the kid went to the movies and all of that.
I believe The Kite Runner took place in Afghanistan, but it was a similar thing of they had a nice society there until we started
coming in. And we've done it time and time again. I mean, if you look at what Donald Trump has done, he supposedly was going to be the anti-interventionist, but we can say Bolivia was his doing. We can talk about Venezuela and what they're still trying to do. Pompeo just got on there and said, I want to congratulate the president of Venezuela, Juan Guaido, for his reelection. He flat out, straight up said that Juan Guaido was reelected, and that's not necessarily the case. He was not reelected as president of Venezuela. He has a position in there that's a very minimal position, and they're painting it as, our country is painting it as, that he is the president now. They're completely dismissing Maduro.
It's so similar. Venezuela, again.
Right.
Chavez back in the late 90s says, I'm nationalizing my oil. I'm giving it to the people. And we said, oh, no, now he's a terrorist. Anyone who doesn't give up the resources is a terrorist. And it doesn't excuse anything that any of these leaders have done. Doesn't excuse it. And people go, yeah, but Iran, they've backed Hezbollah and stuff. I'm sure, yes. But how much of it is because we've provoked the situation? Iran has tried to back channel peace with us. They tried to do it during the Bush administration. They tried to back channel peace with us. And Bush said, nope. They had a bunch of young people who were like, loved the West. I mean, Jimmy's talked about it, about Anthony Bourdain talked about when he went to
Iran.
Iran, the Persians were the nicest people. I just saw a clip of a guy in Tehran crying, going, we love Americans. We hate Trump because he doesn't want his country blown to pieces. He knows what's happening. Yeah. Why do you think they've been trying to broker peace? Because they've seen what's happened.
Right.
They don't want to get bombed by us. Who would?
And it's just hypocritical because we were using, like you said in the original clip, Soleimani to defeat ISIS and Al-Qaeda, these two that we've funded and helped create. So how
and backed in Syria. We've backed ISIS and Al-Qaeda against Syria.
Exactly. And look at our allies. Look at Israel and what they're doing to the Palestinians, and look at Saudi Arabia and what they've done.
Yemen.
And absolutely. And so how do we stand as the non-aggressors when we clearly, with Israel and with Saudi Arabia, who I think I believe Israel is complicit in the attack on Soleimani. Israel and Netanyahu had been attempting to assassinate him for a while now. In the last 5 years, they've attempted to assassinate him. So let's not pretend that, this wasn't a planned out execution.
I mean, there's even some indications that they try to lure Soleimani into Iraq so they could target him.
Well, the prime minister of Iraq was talking about how he was on the phone with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump thanked him for trying to broker a sort of diplomatic peace between Saudi Arabia and Iran. But, we really don't know too much of the detail. But if that's the case, I wouldn't necessarily trust Saudi Arabia to not say anything either. But I do believe that Saudi Arabia right now sees itself as a little bit vulnerable, considering that it's such a region where Iran has become this very, very independent, nationalist, sort of driven country that has a lot of pride and a lot of people that have been building up their military on the ground. So if we were actually want to wage war against Iran, we would actually be on the losing end of the strategy. We haven't actually done anything like that in years, as far as actually sending on the ground troops and having this sort of massive army. I think we would be on the losing end because Iran has this drive to really not give in to U.S. imperialism. And we've only exacerbated that for them.
Yeah, we could have had them as a major ally, but we've actually, now we've unified them. Anybody that was maybe pro-American or whatever, now we've pushed them more to be unified and radicalized. Not to mention, too, jackass Mike Pence, who I want to remind pro-impeachment people, if Donald Trump is actually impeached, then Mike Pence becomes the president of the United States of America, which means he's going to shock the gay out of people and outlaw lunch with women. So that's what he's going to do because he's out of his mind. Trump I don't like, but Trump is just a narcissist. And look, he's dangerous. Last week, we see how dangerous he can be. There's no two ways about it. But Mike Pence is an ideologue. He's the evangelicals, in my mind, are as crazy, if not crazier, than the fundamentalist Muslims.
Oh, absolutely. And you thought that we've evolved from this since 2004, but here we have another one who is as insane as a Rick Santorum, as bad as a George W. Bush and a Dick Cheney, and he is this close to the chair, really.
And the thing I want to point out, too, Mike Pence, he just tried to tie Iran to 9/11. Shut up.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
Yeah,
anything. They're grasping at straws, and it's like, how, who there was actual evidence of ties to 9/11? Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't we talking about that? Oh, that's right. There are allies in this horrific war in Yemen that they've tried to end.
They're an extension of the United States at this point, Saudi Arabia. That's pretty much what they are, an extension of us.
Hey, they give us oil.
Right.
We sell them weapons. It's real simple. So we'll let them chop up journalists and treat women like dogs and they can bomb the poorest country in the world with our stuff because they bought it from us and we get their oil. There. What a great deal. So one of the things I want to show here is, I'm not going to show the whole speech, but this is Julian Assange talking about how they've been trying to get into Iran and the corruption.
So I would just firstly like to say congratulations to Tom Finger and a very important talk that he gave. Of course, well made and politic, but I think there are nuggets in there that are quite important to understand. I was involved in 2007 and 2008 at looking at what was happening to Iran. Now, from that process, I'm fully aware of some of the pressures that were on Tom. A lot of people did a lot of good work. Perhaps the most important was Tom Finger's in trying to correct the movement towards war with Iran based on lies. And it is incredible to think back at those times that it was only in 2003 where the worst modern deception of the Western world occurred, where we went to a war in Iraq based on lies in 2003, and over 100,000 people were killed and millions of Iraqi refugees displaced as a result. Just 3 years later, the drums for war with Iran were being whipped up, not just in the United States, but also in this country. And it's thanks to journalists like Cy Hirsch and professional, truthful insiders like Tom, and our sources and the sources for journalists that war hasn't happened yet. For example, in the beginning of 2008, we published Iraq's classified rules of engagement for the US Army. In those rules, there was a section that was apparently designed, or at least permitted, for a border skirmish to start up, permitted US troops to go into Iran under a variety of circumstances. And at the time, there were disputes in the Gulf with ships approaching one another, a very heated moment.
Ships approaching one another, very heated moments. They've been trying these, remember all the false flags that they were trying to stir up in the spring in the Strait of Hormuz? There was like that one ship and there was an attack or whatever. And then, they shot down one of our drones unprovoked. No, our drone was in their airspace. We've been trying, this is what he's describing, what we've been trying to do. And just we're basically, none of the initial poking of the chests really got Iran into the war until we killed Soleimani.
Yeah. Well, and there's other evidence of that, too, where they have that speech from Pat Clausen that's finally been circulating where he talks about sometimes ships go down, sometimes they don't come back up. And then we also have the speech from General Wesley Clark where he talked about the list of countries. Iran was on that list. So it's like, this is totally by design. And WikiLeaks, exposed the crimes initially on Iraq. It exposed Tony Blair's complicity and stuff like that, and then it went beyond to what they were planning with Iran.
Yeah, and the other thing too, it should be noted, and this is why WikiLeaks is really critical, and the fact that Julian Assange and Chelsea Manning are both in prison right now. His extradition hearing, I believe, is February 25th in London. Is the intelligence community is a big player in pushing these lies. The intelligence community comes with the intel saying, now Soleimani's the worst guy ever, or they did this, or Iran backed this. How do we know? Where do we get that information? The intelligence community says it, they feed it to the State Department, and then all the morons at MSNBC and CNN and Fox and everybody just repeat it. So now it's a fact. It's a fact. Iran backed it. The attack on the American embassy, that was Iran did that. How do we So it's really critical for people to understand the key role the intelligence community has in shaping the lies that Julian Assange is talking about to get us into these bullshit wars, just so Raytheon stocks go up.
It should be enough to note that he's in jail
Yeah.
as to why you shouldn't buy any of this and any of the things happening. I mean, what's happening right now with independent media is like before, when journalism was at its start, people would go to the New York Times and rely on the New York Times. They would rely on CNN when you would look at those as credible sources. And what we've come to find out is like that is no longer applicable. Citizen journalists no more. People like Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, all of those are our resources. And simultaneously now they're going to smear you and paint you as a sort of anti-government type of civilian threat. And then they go and they call spooks whistleblowers when it comes to the impeachment trial. But they refuse to call someone like Julian Assange a whistleblower for simply talking to the public about what their government is doing to them. And I think not enough people pay attention to that. I think even progressives, I think they're not making the connection between, you know, the information is key to getting the people to wake up and start figuring out, hey, maybe this isn't true. Maybe we're not buying this. But these claims by the Trump administration and some of these neocons are so ludicrous that I honestly, the majority of people I've talked to aren't buying that Iran was an imminent threat to the United States. They're not buying it. Nobody's buying it anymore.
Yeah, because enough people remember this is the same soundtrack they played us for Iraq.
Yeah.
This is the exact same, propaganda map that they used. They're just unrolling it again and putting in some different names, and people are tired of it.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. I was at another Answer Coalition anti-war rally last night in downtown Los Angeles. Mike Preisner, who we all know, him and Abby from Empire Files, and I talked to Mike on Saturday at the rally we were all at, and again last night, and I said, Mike, what's sort of the difference in the last couple of days? And I know you're talking to a lot of vets, because he's an Iraq vet, and a lot of active duty military. What are you hearing? He goes, the guys from my era, all of us who joined up right after 9/11 to protect America, all of us, everyone I talked to was like, at least the first Iraq war, they tried to lie. They gave us some type of story for us to buy into. He goes, now there's nothing. They don't even have, it's such nonsense. He's like, so the guys that are like, in their mid 30s or whatever, that joined up 17, 18 years ago when they were 18, 19, 20 years old, that got deployed in 03, 04, 07, 09 and all that stuff. They're all like, well, we've seen this bullshit before. And they're not buying it. And I'm just like, I posted on social media, I was like, well, Iran didn't create 5.2 million foreclosures, right? Iran didn't contaminate the water in Flint, Michigan. Iran doesn't kill 30,000 people a year because they don't have health insurance. Iran hasn't done any of those things. So it's like what Muhammad Ali said. He said, I got no problem with the Viet Cong. He said, no Viet Cong ever called me the N-word. What has Iran done to us?
It's also poignant, though, that we are at a point right now in our economy and in our government where we can't pretend that we're going down as a country. The U.S. empire is sinking, and it just seems like they're reaching out to try to survive, clawing at any sort of survival that they can latch onto, because people are in the streets right now as we speak. People are unable to pay their health care, their rent. I mean, the wealth disparity is disgusting at this point, that I think before that wasn't necessarily the case and people were more able to ignore it. But now it's all in your face. And I mentioned earlier to you Ricky Gervais and what he was even
at the Golden Globes.
At the Golden Globes. It's like, funny. That was perfect, dude. That was so perfect. That's just, it's just a picture of where we're at right now. You guys want to sit here and preach about, your democratic values and how you care about everybody, how you want equality and inclusivity, yet you would, what did he say? He was like, you would promote ISIS if you're Agent Ashley.
Yeah, he's like all the horrible companies you work for, Amazon, I think he named Disney.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not important, but he named all those companies. And he's like, I swear, if ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent.
And he's dead right. He goes, I don't want to hear it. He goes, take your little award, thank your people, and get out of here. You have no place to talk about this. And I'm so sick of, one of the reasons I couldn't keep doing my film podcast anymore is I'd watch these award shows. There's these people wearing literally $30,000 in jewelry and clothing telling me about the injustice of it all.
Yeah.
Shut up. How many tent cities did your limo drive by to get to the goddamn Golden Globes? Like, we also, at the rally on Saturday, we walked through downtown Los Angeles. How many tent cities? There's tent cities. There's a new high rise for new luxury apartments and condos, and people living in tents. Did Iran cause those tent cities? No, they did not cause those tent cities.
Yeah, I can't stand award shows as a small aside. I think it's just such a gross celebrity circle jerk.
Oh, it is.
And there's just no reason for them.
This is a contrast right now is insulting. The contrast. I think that's what I think is affecting more people. I think that's why people are like, oh, okay. Like he was like, nobody even watches movies anymore. Everybody just watches Netflix.
Oh yeah, he was just like, this whole thing should just be, good job, Netflix, you won.
Yeah.
And then he plugged Afterlife.
Which
by the way, I loved Afterlife.
Is it? I need to watch
great.
it. It looks
it's a good show.
It's great.
Yeah.
And when he said my favorite part of that thing was when he told us there was another season coming. I was like, yes.
but he's not wrong, because all the people in that room would have gone up there and given their speech. I didn't watch the Golden Globes, I just saw that.
Yeah,
about awful Trump is. And again, I don't like Trump, but they're the people who we had a thriving anti-war movement in this country. It was 2003. We're coming up on the anniversary, the 17-year anniversary of the largest global anti-war protest in the history of the planet. And that anti-war movement went to sleep under 8 years of Obama, who dropped more bombs than Bush. He set the Middle East on goddamn fire. And all those people in Hollywood are like, Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. Where were you? And that thing we've all talked about. If Hillary would have won, we'd be at brunch right now.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
That's the freaking problem.
You were at brunch watching award shows thinking the planet's fine.
Because there was a lot of civil unrest during Obama. There were people out on the streets, but not near enough. And too many people were not paying attention.
People on the left criticized the Occupy movement. Oh, a bunch of kids who weren't organized. Oh, what do you stand for?
Well, they criticized everything during Obama. I mean, Occupy, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Like, Russia infiltrated all that stuff. And DAPL. Jesus. Well, not so much Occupy, but like DAPL and Black Lives Matter.
There was also the fact that you couldn't criticize Obama either, because then
there
was a race issue too. So, I mean, that also played in a part. I think we're at a point where the climate has come together to pretty much like force us into waking up.
Well, we'll end
Hopefully it comes together before it collapses.
Yeah.
We'll end the segment on this. The war is not meant to be won. It's meant to be continuous. That's from George Orwell. Yeah. What a hippie. Oh, boy, where did he write that? In the Kremlin? God damn it. But that's the point, everybody. We've been at war for 18 years, going on 19 years. If you're Ron's age or younger, we've been at war for over half of your life. If you're 18 years old or younger, we've been at war your entire life. Trillions of dollars have been spent. And I want everybody out there watching this on your social media, at the dinner table, talking to friends, when they talk about this war in Iran, or they talk about, say, how are we going to pay for it? How are we going to pay for this? And when anyone says, how are we going to pay for Medicare for all? Go, maybe we should stop all these wars. Nobody ever asks how we're going to pay for this. That drone that killed Soleimani, how many homeless people could that have housed? How many kids' school lunches? I mean, we could go on and on. Fill in the blank. Get the exact dollar amount and tell your friends and family on your social media, we could have bought this. There's a cut in your local community. Did they cut an after-school program? Did they close a library or a school? And find out the dollar amount that they could use to keep that open. And I guarantee you, find how many Tomahawk missiles could have goddamn paid for that. All right, we've spent over $1 trillion just in Afghanistan, the longest running war in the history of the United States. $1 trillion just on that war. The first time I went to entertain the military was in 2004. I did a comedy tour in Afghanistan 16 goddamn years ago. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. It makes me so mad. All right? I've been to Afghanistan 3 times, Iraq 3 times, and Kuwait 4 times. And what it also sickens me is American sons and daughters are going there. We're going to send now what? A new crop of kids? Because there's no jobs in America? Because they've been doing this for decades. They ship all the jobs overseas, which only benefits the billionaires. So the only job you can get, and Ron's been through this whole country. We're here to tell you, there's a Walmart you can work at, there's a fast food place, and there's the military. Or you could maybe deal Oxycontin. You can be a drug dealer with the opioid epidemic. Those are the choices. That is by design. The last time there was a draft in this country was in the 70s. That's when there was mass protest for war. So if they take away the draft and just make economic conscription a poverty draft, then no one is in a place to fight. We have a gig economy. No one has the time to protest. Everyone has to do 2 and 3 jobs just to get by. So ask the question, how are we going to pay for it when they come to the war? How are we going to pay for it? Over and over and over. Like, share, and subscribe, and shave your knuckles for justice. All right, that's that segment, everybody. So let's go answer some questions. Where are we at here? Let me bring this over. Let's bring this over and answer some questions, everybody. Live dashboard. Thank you, everybody, for watching and joining the show. We have 378 people watching. Right on.
What?
Boom.
Boom.
Hit the like button and put this out on your social media right now. Get people to watch this. So what I've been doing more with these live streams, I obviously leave the whole live stream as an archive on the channel, but then I cut up certain segments and I drop those throughout the week. So if you miss some of this, it'll be available to you. The Convo Couch. Shave your knuckles for justice. What's up? All my favorite peeps in one room. Love my peeps. This is either...
It's probably pasta.
Pasta? It's probably pasta. Thank you, brother. Convo Couch again. All my peeps in one room. Love my peeps. Right on, pasta. Or Johnny, who's ever doing that.
He didn't type fam, so it's probably pasta.
Yeah.
He was worried. It's like, I'm not going to say fam. I'll show them. He deleted it like 5 times, and he's like, it's not in there at all. I'm hitting send now.
Pasta, you're a fantastic cook. Tisha T, shave your knuckles for justice. How do you know people are waking up? Wouldn't Biden, Bloomberg be less represented in polls? Sorry, I'm skeptical. I live in Arizona. Fantastic question. What do you say to that?
I say those polls are completely biased. If we're looking at the money that Bernie Sanders has raised, if we're looking at the rallies that he has and brings about, if we're looking at the number of volunteers on the ground, that alone should tell you the support that he has. And I think, polls have been wrong. We saw in 2016 how wrong they were, to say the least. I mean,
I don't know. What happened in 2016?
I thought Nate Silver was right all along, But
the guy who's still a laughing stock.
He's ridiculous.
I say don't give up hope. For every Judge Judy, there are 3 Fiorella Isabellas, there are 4 Graham Elwoods, and there's a 1.5 Ron Placone.
Yeah.
I don't know where I got these numbers. I just made them up, and I wanted to be self-deprecating, so
nice.
I give the smallest for me.
Yeah, Tisha, I would repeat what Fee is saying. You look at the polls. Who's funding the polls? Who's pushing the polls out there? It's the corporate media. And the corporate media is owned by the ruling class. The ruling class does not want Bernie Sanders.
Right.
But they cannot argue the fact that he has more individual donors than any politician in the history of this country.
5 million?
Even Chris Cillizza, who's...
that guy.
Yeah, he's coming around to it on CNN. Even he was like, oh, this guy's actually... Yeah, he could win this thing.
You can't lie with the numbers. 34.5 million in this last quarter and 5 million individual donors. Who else has that? He's number 1 in Democrats. The only person beating him is Donald Trump. But that's
with an average of $18. $18.
I know.
That's our average from teachers, from workers.
Not the billionaires.
Not the billionaires.
This is the millionaires.
Pasta does a really good Bernie, by the way.
So yeah, I think that's a great point, Tisha. Is look at where the polls are coming from, and then look at the data, because they just, Wine Cave Pete and Corn Pop Biden. They have okay fundraising money, but that's because Biden has 44 billionaires backing him and Wine Cave Pete has 39 billionaires. Bernie has received one donation from a billionaire's wife and he returned the check. So just so you know, that is the thing, and the corporate media is going to have to... I saw a guy on MSNBC go... or maybe it was even CNN. Whatever, they're all bullshit. He was trying to say, why Klobuchar is surging or whatever this nonsense they're trying to say, But he goes, here's the thing. If Bernie wins Iowa and New Hampshire and maybe even Arizona, then he's 3-0 going into Super Tuesday.
Yes.
And this is the thing I thought about. Come
on, California.
Come on. This could fuck. The Democrats moved up the California primary hoping
for Kamala.
Kamala's going to take him out. And she's gone. Who took her out? Tulsi did, which was great. So now it's like, wait a minute now. Your little filthy plan could backfire. Bernie could wrap this thing up after Super Tuesday. He could have an overwhelming lead. And look, Castro just dropped out, to which I tweeted, grab Steyer and Bloomberg on your way out. And you're going to start to see people, they're not going to be able to...
Yeah, but now that Castro dropped out, we have the other thing to deal with that is very powerful politically, the double selfie. I mean, that...
I thought it was Elizabeth's dance moves that we were going to have to deal with.
You got the double selfie
I wish we could show
and
that.
The dance moves.
Now, did her selfie include her voting for Trump's new NAFTA?
If you want it, I mean, it's your double selfie. You can have her like checking off a little ballot with a thumbs up, and then Castro's going to be there.
Her dog's involved too. Her dog's really cute.
You almost, underline almost, kind of feel bad for her. She's like your really uninteresting aunt that has like nothing to say ever, and she's like, I found out what a selfie is, and you're like, you're not that old. You just found out what a selfie is.
Did you see her latest tweet about a ghosting? About how she was like,
yes!
Dump the guy, get the dog.
I did.
Dump the guy who ghosted you. First of all, how do you dump a guy who ghosted you? She was just trying so hard. She did a thing. I think
Word
it was on
up, kids.
It's like that.
Do you want some Sunny D light? I'm here to tell you.
Boy, Trump sure is a turkey.
I feel bad for her. Almost.
Climate change sure ain't dope. But these new double selfies are lit AF.
But that's why the Sunrise Movement just endorsed Bernie.
Yes, they did.
That's another thing, Tisha. Sunrise Movement just endorsed Bernie Sanders. People have been pressuring them for a while. Mm-hmm. Why did they endorse Bernie Sanders? He has the best Green New Deal. No one comes close to him. No one. He has the best Green New Deal, and every environmental organization goes, his is the best one. His is the one that actually could save the planet and rescue everybody. His is the one that could do this. Yeah. And so, rest easy, Tisha. Andrew Dwyer. Boom, Andrew. What's up? Wouldn't Tulsi have more influence as Bernie's Secretary of State than VP? Know that we need to get through primaries first, but just a thought. What do you think on that?
Yeah, so it depends. I think if Tulsi were to take a VP position, she would be instrumental in shaping the foreign policy, because you can either be like a lame duck as a VP, or you can be very much involved in the executive branch. Because remember, the executive branch handles, as the commander-in-chief, you're handling foreign policy. So as somebody that has the experience on the ground, either a Secretary of State or VP, she would, I think, have a really hands-on approach, a very involved approach. The only reason I would push her as VP is because I think, and I don't know, I think we've discussed this before, she gets the independent votes. She gets some of those Republican votes that Bernie isn't getting, whether it's for Assange or his previous foreign policy on Russiagate that people didn't like, or the Hillary Clinton
calling her out.
It's all of those things, right? And all these people also may not like these labels as a Democratic Socialist. So they do like her, and they see her as being nonpartisan and reaching out across the aisle. And that's something that I think if you're running to win the general election to beat Donald Trump, you're going to have to take some of those votes.
Well, that's a great point. So like, would she be effective as a Secretary of State? Absolutely. But you've got to look at the VP position. It does two things. One, it's about the ticket.
Right.
And about, like you say, attracting other people from other sections of society to be in, like, again, the libertarian center-right people that really like Tulsi, they're okay. They might be a little, Bernie's a crazy socialist. But with her on the ticket, I think you're right, Fiorella, that a lot of people go, okay. And also, too, what's critical is the vice president's role or lack thereof is really set by the president.
Exactly.
So President Bernie would be like, Tulsi, yes.
Yeah, tell Dick Cheney the vice president doesn't do anything. tell that to Dick Cheney.
Great point.
No, I agree with everything you guys said. I mean, I think we're completely in unison here. I mean, I think that, and I don't want to say Bernie definitely has the ability to get the unlikely voters too and reach across the aisle too. Yeah. But with Tulsi, it just amplifies that even more. Mm-hmm. And I think between the two of them, I think it's the best ticket we can possibly hope for. I mean, the only other person I'd really want to see in that VP slot would be Nina Turner. But Nina doesn't want the job. So I'm saying let Nina do her own thing. She'll be involved in some way, and however she's involved, it'll be great. And I'm hoping for that ticket. Tulsi would still make a great Secretary of State as well, but I'm really hoping for, a Bernie Tulsi ticket. That's what I've been wanting pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, and again, like it was a gift when Hillary called her a Russian asset, because then she could just go, oh yeah, and just she got 2 weeks of free ad time. Mm-hmm. Every major and she was like, no, Queen of Warmongers, she got that to stick. Yeah. And it was and
it was really smart strategically, because for a while Hillary Clinton didn't realize that wasn't a compliment. She read Queen and then stopped, and she's like, okay, she gets it. And then later she was like, oh, wait a second.
Oh, Warmonger, I thought that was a bump.
Did they not see my heart pin? I thought.
When I was pushing us to war with Iran 12 years ago. So yeah, Andrew, that's the view on that. You got to understand the strategic aspect of picking a VP. Like you can, I don't know, Tim Kaine, horrible VP pick.
Maybe the worst ever.
The worst
in America.
ever.
His one job was get us Virginia. Because keep in mind the hubris that campaign had. They thought they were going to get every single state. Obama did. So all they really needed was one kind of unlikely purple state, and they were fine. So they were like, well, we're going to pick Tim Kaine because he's actually to the right of Hillary Clinton. So that's a big F you to all of Bernie's people. And he'll get us Virginia. That's why they picked Tim Kaine. He barely even accomplished. First of all, he lost to Mike Pence in a debate, which you should just retire from society if you lose to Mike Pence in a debate. You should just go. I mean, he has enough money. He should just go live on a farm somewhere and read books so that in the future he won't lose a debate to a Mike Pence. He's like, I need to read more. But he should just stay out. And he barely, the only reason they got Virginia was because of Gary Johnson. He barely did his job.
Right.
Barely.
Well, no, Gary Johnson gave him Virginia. Really.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Gary Johnson just took enough Trump votes away to let Hillary fumble her way with Tim Kaine's inadequacy. Yeah, that was another great. That's going back to this, Andrew, of how important the ticket is. Think back. All of us probably, well, not all, but many of I think I probably would have voted for Hillary if she would have made Bernie her VP. If she went to the convention and said, you know what, I'm going to unify this. I want to bring the progressives out here. I would have gone, okay, Trump's awful. I'm not a fan of Hillary, but Bernie's in, so that progressive voice will try to be heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she went, no, we're going to pick this mope that no one's ever heard of and tell all of you Bernie supporters, shut up.
To be devil's advocate for a moment, how do you guys counteract Elizabeth Warren as the VP choice?
You mean if it was Hillary Warren?
No, Bernie
You mean
Warren.
if it was Bernie Warren?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's not what happens.
Bernie said in an interview several months ago, he goes, it'll be a younger woman of color is who he said his VP pick will be. So I don't think it's going to, and I think that was, I don't think it.
And I don't think there's any chance of, if Warren gets the nomination, which hopefully she doesn't, but if she does, there's no way she's picking Bernie, because her job was to get Bernie out of the picture. Yeah. So if mission accomplished, she ain't picking Bernie.
Well, strategically, I think Warren would probably increase Bernie's chances of losing. I don't want to say she would make him lose, but I would say it would push out all of the people who despise her, who see her as another type of Obama Democrat, because she from the start said, I don't want to go on Fox News. Okay, that's
that
it.
Was so dumb.
That was so dumb. And so she's losing half the country.
Horrible.
It is, but
you got to go on it.
So
you got to go on it. And Bernie
Yeah.
if Bernie picked her as his VP, it would be a mistake. He would be watering down his own ticket, and he would lose some progressives. Some progressives might just vote third party because they're like, I don't want her.
He would make his job harder.
Yeah, he would.
I mean, Bernie would make his job harder because, you know, you need unlikely voters to beat Trump. You need to get some converts, and you need some unlikely voters. Bernie will get all those people. With Tulsi Gabbard, he'll get a lot. He'll get even more of them. With Liz Warren, he would get less.
How are you going to go into the red states and get those voters to come on your side with Liz Warren? You're not going to do it. With Tulsi, she's a vet. Well, she's a combat vet. She's still in the military today. Yeah. She's going to go there. Hi, I'm Major Tulsi Gabbard, Texas. Would you like to vote for us? Because we're going to make your lives better. And with Tulsi, you could flip Texas. And if you flip Texas, it's over.
It's over.
It's over. And Liz Warren couldn't, there's not a red state she could flip. There's not one.
Let me tell you, I was just in Florida, and
wait. What if we let Ariana Presley talk for Liz Warren every single time? What if we do that?
That would be
Liz
better.
gets
That
heckled?
would be an improvement.
What if Liz gets heckled and then she jumps up?
If Ariana Presley's his VP pick, that's all right.
And I was just going to say, in Florida, the only other person other than Bernie that was mentioned in a positive light was Tulsi Gabbard, because Florida has a good amount of Republicans too. But they were like, oh, we wish she was doing better, blah, 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 blah. But she's cool.
That's the thing. If you have Tulsi Gabbard, those purple states like Florida and Ohio and Pennsylvania, you flip those go. And then if you get Texas, plus all of the standard blue states that Hillary never should have lost had she campaigned there, like Wisconsin and Michigan, right? You clean up. You clean up. I mean, like, that ticket to me, I've said this before and I will say it again, that is an electoral and popular vote landslide.
Yeah.
Not eking.
Why take any chances?
I know.
It's not the time for chances.
No. Landslide, man. And what that does then, if you don't like Trump so much, you put him to bed, because impeachment, even if you were to impeach him, which you can't with the Republican Senate, but even if for some reason you got some Republican senators to flip, there's still going to be that, it's corruption, DC politics, couldn't handle the outsider. That's what his base will say. That's what he'll say.
Yep.
You crush him in an electoral landslide. It was like, you are a mistake, go away. Roger Ailes is dead, so you don't even get your TV show. You and Sean Hannity can go give each other hand jobs somewhere on a duck hunting trip. Leave us alone. The working class of all ethnicities is going to be taken care of now. You'll have people going, hey, man, I voted for Trump. I thought I was wrong. I don't care. I got Medicare for all now. My kids are going to college. We're not in war. There's not 22 vets a day committing suicide. Yeah. We're all got union jobs making solar panels in this Green New Deal. Trump is just it was just a bad couple of years.
That's why her impeachment present vote didn't bother me. I thought I was advocating that for a while, because it's like, you need somebody who's going to say, yes, Donald Trump has committed impeachable acts, but what you're impeaching him on isn't right. Mm-hmm. And that was my whole thing. Like, sure, we should have impeached him on emoluments. We should have impeached him on anything else. But
they couldn't look at all the things that Democrats were also complicit with. That's why it's like, this is theater.
I love the present vote. Actually, when I first heard it, I was like, I don't know. And then when I listened to her response, I went, that was actual smart leadership. Yeah. And this is another thing, too, that would get center-right people and libertarians and independents to vote for. All the people that don't vote because they feel like their vote doesn't count. That was bold leadership.
Yeah.
She went against her party and all the goddamn wingnut hillbots, right? And she said, that's not right. Yeah, he's corrupt, but this isn't enough.
How we do
it was great.
Yeah.
All right. Convo Couch. What's up, Pasta? Soleimani helped the Houthis drone Saudi oil refineries. That was the line in the sand for Trump. He's all about the money.
It's true.
It's a great point.
It's a great point.
It's a great point. And again, Iran's. This is how. So when they say that, see, he helped him drone the Saudi oil fields. The mainstream media, at the behest of the oil companies and Raytheon that buy ad time, won't go. The Saudis are butchering the single greatest humanitarian crisis is in Yemen. What were they supposed to do? What is the Yemenis who are being helped? The Houthis are being helped by Iran. What are they supposed to do? They're this poor, getting to bomb the shit out of them. 120 kids a day are dying. What are they supposed to do? And when they retaliate, Iran's crazy.
It's the same thing with Israel and Palestine and Hamas. It's like, well, what do you want them to do? What do you want these people to do? They're literally being obliterated by Israel, and nobody's doing anything.
Right.
They just stole their solar panels, by the way. Israel confiscated the solar panels that they got. It's bad.
Max D, what's up, brother? Shave your knuckles for justice. This is from the Rumsfeld blueprint. Rumsfeld dreamed of generational war, and he has delivered. Everyone in the Pentagon should be sacked. Absolutely true. This never-ending war thing, that's what they wanted. Remember when 9/11 first happened? And everyone, John McCain was like, well, look, we might have to have bases there for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
That's what they want. And
I just think of the movie Vice, where Steve Carell played Donald Rumsfeld. He did a brilliant job, and they just go, the young Dick Cheney asks, like, what do we stand for? And he just starts laughing hysterically.
Laughing.
Great movie. You haven't seen it.
Great movie.
Especially if you're into shows like this. Great movie.
Tisha T, what's up, Tisha? Thank you for supporting the show. There should be an anti-war demonstration to parody the military-industrial complex like the Yes Men did, or how Colbert used to do it. Yeah, I think it's important, in talking again last night with Mike Preisner and Abby Martin about how let's get the anti-war movement back up and thriving again. Join Code Pink, join Answer Coalition, join these organizations and get involved. Go to these demonstrations whenever you can. Start one in your town. It's important. And like one demonstration's not going to do it. We're going to have to do a bunch. We're going to have to put pressure on our politicians. And it's going to take more than just the ballot box. And as we've stated, we can't just hope the Democrats, because they've already voted to give Trump all this shit. So we have to take more control of this.
Yeah, we need more independent voices going to these anti-war protests too, because what happens is, and Pasta was talking about it on your segment, where it was it turned into kind of an anti-Trump rally at one point.
Right.
And I don't like Trump either, but I think we need to always not lose focus on the fact that Donald Trump was aided by 188 Democrats who removed the provision that would have prevented him from waging war in Iran. And of course, all of these Democrats also voted for his military budget. Right. So it's
and the
he's
war
not
machine,
doing this alone.
Yeah, I mean, the war machine also has been there before him,
Trump,
and it'll be there after him.
Exactly.
It's going to go beyond that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought most of the speakers did a pretty good job.
The speakers
staying
did a pretty
on focus.
good job.
I mean, there was a little bit of that, but for the most part, I thought it was more focused on the issue.
It was. And I like that they mentioned sanctions, because sanctions are an act of war.
They are an act of warfare. We always forget that.
Yeah.
Mockable. Boom. Shave your knuckles for justice. Tonight's show is the best of any YouTube ever. Damn right.
Wow.
Randy Rhea. Boom. Any chance Progressive Comedy Tour comes to Memphis, Tennessee in the future?
Oh man, we're coming to Nashville.
We're
definitely coming. We're coming to Nashville. We're coming to Atlanta. We're coming to Louisville, Memphis. We're gonna get to you eventually, but I don't think we are this time around. We're doing weekends.
Yeah, we're trying to do more weekends. So the kind of what Ron and I had learned over the last year and a half of doing the Progressive Comedy Tour is that we need to hit bigger markets, and we tried to go to some smaller towns.
Mississippi, we're shocked you didn't show up in droves for us. Where were you, Oxford, Mississippi?
Rude.
The four progressives in the whole state. But no, so, and we just kind of looked at the cost thing, the Progressive Tour.
Well, and this is an election year, so we are all putting out a lot of content. So it's harder for us. I mean, a year ago when we went to the East Coast, like we could stay gone for like 7-8 days. But now it's like, I mean, that's kind of
hard for us to be
easier
gone.
to be gone in 2, 3, 4 day increments at most, and then come home.
Then 5, 6, 7 days. It starts to add up, and also the cost of every day we're on the road is another day of food and hotel and all that. Because Ron and I, look, we cover all of our own travel for the most part, so we just have to crunch the numbers. So we're trying to go back to cities that we know we've done well ticket sale wise. I mean, that's just the economics of it. Nashville, we did well. Plus, cities and towns are.
Well, and it's cities where we have a good relationship with venues too.
The Zanies in Nashville's very.
Yeah, that's a club. I mean, I used to live in Nashville, so that used to be my home club. And so those are, and then you have a great relationship with the Punchline in Atlanta, and they really liked having us. So, some of it's kind of at the mercy of that. So consider a weekend in Nashville, Memphis.
Come to Nashville. Bob Swanick, boom. Take it to the street, shut them down. Good for you, Bob. I guess your Jets did make the playoffs, but thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, Jets Bob.
Hello, Pasta.
Jets Bob.
Jets suck, sorry.
I don't even know who's left. I haven't been. I mean,
a bunch of football teams.
Yeah, football teams. They're still playing.
Football teams are left. I know that for a fact. Hit the like button, everybody. Katie Dalton, what's up, Katie? Fee, Ron, and Graham, please weigh in on your thoughts of a brokered convention. I donate to both Tulsi and Bernie. I donate to both Tulsi and Bernie too. What do you guys think of a brokered convention?
It seems unlikely that we are going to reach a majority before we get to the convention. So unless Bernie Sanders, like you said, takes every single state, we're going to have a brokered convention. And it is likely the superdelegates are going to come into play. Now, we can hope that they won't. But in California, for instance, I just looked it up last night because I want to run as a Bernie delegate. There are 494 delegates up for grabs. But not all of those are elected by the people. 271 are congressional caucus elected delegates. So if you're in a congressional district and you want to run as a Bernie delegate, you can go and get elected by your district. Then there's the PLEOs, the pledged elected official delegates that are like the Democrats that are already serving in some form or another. Then there's the automatic delegates. So California itself is not a winner-takes-all state. So unless you get over 15%, you're not going to take any delegates. So we could have a situation where Bernie Sanders takes the majority of the delegates in California, but he doesn't take all of them. And so that's going to come into play later on in the brokered convention. I do not think California is going to have a majority of Bernie Sanders. I mean, he might be the leader, but I think it's going to be broken up just based on how California is and based on the mathematics, because there's a lot of establishment politicians in California who are going to vote not for him. And that's almost altogether, all those little numbers add up to almost the equivalent of the congressional elected ones. So unless Bernie wins by a landslide, which he could if everything goes fair and well, then California is going to be broken up, and we have the most delegates to give. So
yeah, and it's unfortunate, but the anyone but Bernie camp is strong in California.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely still there. I don't think so much in the numbers per se, but in the power, in the money, and that gets a lot of those general voters. So
all right, good to know. Indie Online Weekly. Shave your knuckles for justice. Love your anger, Graham. Politicians fear that type of anger because it relates. It can stir people up. It could win elections. Need more people like it. Yeah, man. If you're not
for office,
if any billionaires out there want me to run, I doubt you do because I'm constantly criticizing you. But I'd run if I had somebody. If somebody really backed me, I'd do it.
I'd only run if I get recruited. That's my personal rule. Like how the Greeks, their big thing with democracy, where they were just like we recruit you, we're like, you have to run.
Yeah,
it's the only way I'd ever do it because I really don't. I mean, dude, I have a Twitter history. So do you.
Yeah,
we both. I mean, it'd be brutal if either of us ever ran for office.
I know,
too.
It'd be nutty. It'd be really nutty. I would. It would be the same thing if a bunch of people said you.
Yeah, right.
If bunch of people asked me to do it, I would go okay because I don't really want to be a politician.
Yeah, they'd have to recruit me. My buddy Derek has that joke. He's like, dude, we gotta run for office. Not me. I have a Twitter history, but some of you guys out there, you can. Derek Lemos, funny guy.
Do we need more politicians, though? I think that's what we have to end, is the stigma that we need to be some sort of perfect little polished suit-wearing politician. Maybe we just need more citizens like that to run.
We need more outsiders, and we need, we also need people I mean, we all have shows, so we all get contacted by so many great people who are trying to break into the electoral system and run for office. And it's always Congress or the Senate, which that's great. But sometimes I'm like, oh,
city council.
Who's thought of? Yeah, it's like who's thinking about school board and city council? I mean, if you think that city council isn't something you can do a lot with, tell that to Shama Zuwant.
Right.
Tell her.
She's so amazing.
She's the big reason the Fight for 15 went national.
Yep.
It's because of her and the people with her. I mean, so.
Then Amazon
tried to
$1.5 million to stop her, and they lost.
And they lost. And now there's a bill in the city council now to make sure something like that doesn't ever happen again. And it's probably going to pass. So city council, don't forget about that.
All right. Yeah, if you're not angry, you're not paying attention. That's what I say. Louise Brooks, what's up, Louise? Thank you so much for supporting the show. I love a Bernie Tulsi ticket. I live in D.C., and yesterday one of my friends who works for the State Department said Tulsi is bad. Mainstream media will go on high alert to smear her. Yeah. Still think she would get libertarian votes. Yeah, I agree. What do you guys think of that? You guys start talking because my computer's dying and I got to go get a power cable for it.
All right, you get that power cable, buddy. Get a power cable for justice.
Yeah, I mean, we agree. I mean, I agree that.
Well, I feel like they would need to embellish a little bit more. If someone just says Tulsi is bad, I would be like, okay, can you give me some details here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with her on everything.
I don't either.
I know you don't either.
I don't either.
But I honestly, her foreign policy, I mean, she has actually been talking about this situation with Iran forever. She has been on the forefront of this. She had the Stop Arming Terrorists Act. She had all of these foreign policy issues, as well as the saying that she would forgive Assange. She would completely, she's on the right side of these national security issues, cybersecurity. She's against the policing of the American people. Those are certain things that Bernie, I don't feel like, has been sort of paying too much attention to. Also, the election.
He's been doing on some stuff. I mean, he's come out against facial recognition. He's the only one to do so.
But as far as Assange, a lot of people have been asking him
Assange.
to do
he
that.
Said good things about whistleblowers in general, but he hasn't gotten specific. She has, which is awesome. And as far as like foreign policy, the other thing about her is just sort of a nuanced approach where she has, she has the willingness to meet and talk with people that I think society as a whole, not necessarily people with their ear to the ground that pay attention to this stuff all the time, but people that maybe aren't as into politics and come to it a little later in election season, they're slowly catching up to that.
And she does it in a way that's not very polarizing. She'll like sit there and say, okay, well, we need to put the American people first and blah, blah, blah. But she says it in a way that's not like, oh, I'm an unabashed leftist socialist, or I'm this I believe in Republicans. She sort of has this more, like you said, nuanced approach to talking to people and sitting down. And I think that's the approach we need in foreign policy, because for the longest time, we've had a very polarizing take on foreign policy, and it's all turned out to be a bunch of lies. And in the end, the result is the same. We continue going on war. And she's brought the focus to not only ending wars, but considering proxy wars and regime changes a form of war, considering sanctions as an act of war. And she's also focused on the Securing Our Americans Elections Act, which is something that a lot of us in 2016 would have liked, considering it wasn't Russia that, we
did it ourselves.
We had those issues.
We purged people from the polls.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's very important. And that's something Bernie hasn't touched on. And these are areas where I think she could help him and also get those libertarian votes that, like my co-host likes to talk about, your issues with security and your issues with your freedoms.
Well, and similarly, I mean, that's why I do think they balance each other really well, because then there's, some domestic things where I think he really has it right on and she's not quite there yet. So it's like they balance each other out pretty well. I mean, so.
Are you
Graham,
guys still
did you get a power cable?
Are you guys still talking politics?
Well, we weren't gonna go on to a next question. I was worried if I touched your computer, it would die.
I did get a power cable, and I'm happy to announce that I will be in Portland with the Jimmy Dore Show this weekend.
Oh, you're coming too?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So welcome, Portland.
Oh, damn. Nice.
Yeah, so you guys were all saying the things that we love about Bernie Tulsi, why that ticket would be. They balance each other out. And I think I don't know if you didn't bring up the Julian Assange.
Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned that.
It's and I I know some people have been critical of Bernie for not like taking
understandably so.
Not taking the gloves off more. And that is a fair criticism to say. What I'm seeing from the last debate, from that speech he gave in Venice Beach, is I think he's really seeing, I need to be the unifier because Trump is so divisive.
Yeah.
He's actually running more of a general election campaign in the primary than just, I think he's waiting to go fight toe to toe with people, because when there's still 7 people or 6 people on the stage, I think when there's 3, when it's him and Pete and Biden or whatever, him, Pete and Elizabeth, then he might go a little harder, and he has been going a little harder on Biden.
Yeah, he went after Biden.
You know, and he'll start going after Elizabeth at some point.
Well, I do think he has to do that sooner than later.
Yeah.
He's got to differentiate himself from Warren. Otherwise, she's going to get a lot of those votes of people who think, oh, well, she's just a younger female Bernie and blah, blah, blah. And she actually wrote these plans. No, he needs to really come out. There needs to be more I wrote the damn bill. That needs to happen a lot more.
We love when Bernie goes hardcore. We love when we saw Bernie in the 1980s talk about the Sandinistas and talk about these foreign policy issues. I think that's what a lot of more people want of Bernie. And if he doesn't differentiate himself against Warren now, Tulsi isn't necessarily going to be there to go after, Kamala and Buttigieg and all of these people. He needs to be the one to do it, because his base and the people that like Tulsi like seeing that side of Bernie. They love it. So
that's a good point.
She had a good moment with Buttigieg, so we can't forget that.
Oh, yeah.
Tulsi had that great moment with Buttigieg.
And Bernie did, too, the last debate, where he was like, oh, Pete, you're falling behind. You only have 39 billionaires. Yeah, competitive guy. That was great.
Hey, you were a shitty mayor. Decided you could be president. Not good at being a mayor. I was good at being a mayor. Then I did other stuff. Then I ran for president. You, shitty mayor. Thought you could be president. Good job.
Plantastic life. Dominic, thank you for supporting the show. If you want to tell people the truth, you better make them laugh or they'll kill you. George Bernard Shaw, keep punching up. Yeah, baby, that's what the Progressive Comedy Tour is all about, Ron.
That's what every comedy club owner tells you before you go on stage. Every single time, all around the country. They're just like, if you're going to tell the truth up there, you fucking idiot, you better be funny.
And don't make fun of the chicken strips. That's what pays your bill.
Don't forget to plug the mimosa special.
Ron, now that there's 395 people watching, where are we going in 2020?
We are going everywhere. We're starting.
I don't think I've ever heard that voice come out of your mouth.
So exciting. Travel. Whoa. We're traveling so many, man. We'll start chronologically. So Santa Clarita, we're starting our year right at home. Well, home-ish. I mean, it's near Los Angeles. Santa Clarita, come out, say hello. JR's Comedy Club. February 8th, we're going to be in Tucson, Arizona.
February 9th, we're doing the Jimmy Dore Show in Tempe.
February 29th, San Francisco, California. March 12th, Orlando. March 13th, Tampa. March 14th, Miami, baby. April 10th, I'll be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. April 24th, Seattle, Washington. April 25th, Portland, Oregon. May 14th, Indianapolis, Indiana. May 15th, Detroit, Michigan. May 16th, Cleveland. Tickets aren't available yet, but the show is confirmed. We should have tickets available real soon.
3 cities we've never done before.
3 cities we've never done. June, Louisville. Tickets available now on June 19th. June 20th, Nashville. June 21st, Atlanta. Tickets will be available soon for both of those. July, Chicago, Milwaukee. Tickets available now.
The weekend before the Democratic Convention.
That's right.
I'm also speaking at the Mines event. I'll put that.
I'll be there too.
Ron will be there too. We'll put those ticket links up, and then we're going to be covering the convention. We're going to be there, cameras rolling, doing everything we can. And then where are we going after that, Ron?
After that, so we'll be going back to D.C. We'll probably be going to Richmond, Virginia. We'll be going back to Philadelphia. None of that's confirmed yet, but we're working on locking that in. Then after that, we're going to the East Coast. New York, Boston. New York, September 10th. That is confirmed. Tickets will be available soon. Boston, likely going to be September 11th. We just got to pan out those details. And then we're trying to come to some other places in the Northeast. We haven't been yet. We're thinking Portland, Maine, maybe Burlington, Vermont, maybe both. Let us know what you think. And then after that, Minneapolis, we're coming back. Madison, Wisconsin, we're coming back. And if there's anywhere else you want to see us, let us know. We'll see what we can do. But we should have all the 2020 dates announced by the end of the month. And a lot of them are already available. So RonPlacone.com, GrahamElwood.com. Get your tickets.
Yes. I think I haven't updated as many of these tour dates as Ron yet.
So go to RonPlacone.com.
RonPlacone.com.
Because I care.
Ron.
I want you guys. Once they're available, I make sure you know.
Does that mean Lucy's going to need babysitting?
Lucy will probably need babysat a lot. Well, I mean,
Caitlin.
Yeah. She'll be home for a lot of it. I mean, she comes on some of the runs, but not all of them. And so, yeah.
Yeah, so check all that out. Let's go to some more super chats. Ladies and gentlemen, out the super chat. Where are we at here? Balthazar228.
What's up, Balthazar?
What's up?
He's so funny.
Go to streamlabs.com.
Go to Streamlabs.
Graham Elwood. If you don't plug Streamlabs.
Streamlabs will solve climate change. Streamlabs.
Just take Streamlabs. Just you and Andrew Yang and Streamlabs go to higher ground.
Yes.
When things start, that will fix everything.
1K a month sounds dope, but have you heard about Streamlabs? Do you know how far you can get on 1K a month with Streamlabs?
Aren't you the biggest Andrew Yang fan?
I am the biggest fan.
Go to higher ground if you're an Andrew Yang fan. Pats didn't make it. Everybody wins. All right. That's we're talking.
Oh yeah, they got upset or whatever. Yeah, that's right.
The Convo Couch. Ron, I recruit you.
It needs more than that. You need like signatures from enough people that I would win if they all voted for me.
All right. Pasta's trying to
that's
get
a
you to
start.
run,
That's
though.
one.
That's
one. And that's what it'd be. It'd be like, dude, we have this many signatures of everyone. They all live in your district. They want to vote for you. And if all these people do what they say they're going to do and sign to do,
You mean you
would
want them to
win.
do all the work?
Yeah. That's the only way I'd run. I mean, that's a formal recruitment. That's the only way I'd do it. Be like, okay, if all you, all right.
Yeah.
And I guess if they're lying to me, well.
Because I don't know the first
gonna
thing
lose.
about the intricacies of running for office and submitting the signature. I don't know any of that crap. You got to have
Annoying.
people around you
It's
who know.
paperwork, you know?
Yeah, so I'm not doing that shit.
Yeah.
I'm a
but if
pretty-
someone comes to you and
Yes.
they're like, we got all these signatures, all we need you to do is sign here.
Yeah.
I'd do it. I'd be like, all right, I don't know what you guys
There's
are.
like, here's
I'll
a
sign
team
it.
of people that know what they're doing that aren't like corporate sellouts, that are like, election reform people. And here's a bunch of money and stuff to do it. Because if I got to go do fundraising, like, bitch, I got to fundraise on Patreon. I mean, I got to do this. Like, what are you talking about? I ain't got fucking time for that shit. So, but if you came to me and said, we got all this in place, I'd go out there and I wouldn't back down on one single stance of mine.
Yeah.
I would run hard, and I would like, this is what I believe in. Everyone's like, oh, electability. I'd be
Yeah,
like, no, jailing billionaire pedophiles is my goddamn platform. That's my platform. That's what I'm going to do. Day one, the minute my hand comes off the Bible and I'm president, there's going to be 24 Navy SEAL teams snatching these mofos
See,
up.
I was thinking you're mayor of Santa Monica or something like that. You're like, Hollywood is not too far. And let me tell you what I'm going to do. You guys are going to be on your own for a little while because this is going to take a minute, but I'm going there. I'm getting all of them.
If I was mayor of Santa Monica, I would invade Malibu. I would amass an army and I would invade Malibu. That's what I do. And Pacific Palisades, you're either with me and you're against me. Make a goddamn choice.
Residents of Santa Monica, remember when you used to have to pay for avocados? Those days are over. Those days, over.
A surfboard in every pot. Yeah. That would be my stance. Kilkenny B, shave your knuckles for justice. Are any of you going to Iowa?
Yes, hopefully.
Yes. Ron and I, it's hard to say
big
what.
maybe. There's something that might happen.
We can't talk
that
about it.
We don't know, and we can't talk about
It's
it.
a big, fat, shiny maybe.
Yeah.
That's hanging over both of our heads.
Yeah.
If it happens, it'll be really cool to talk about.
And if it doesn't happen, I mean, maybe we'll just be like, yeah, so here's what it would have been. Maybe we'll do that.
Thing that's actually not
Here's
gonna
this
happen.
cool thing that like didn't happen, and that's half the lunches in Hollywood, by the way.
That's
hey,
all.
here's this thing we could do.
If I had a
More than
nickel
half.
for every Graham, are you ready? Can you commit to this big maybe that I've had over the last 20 years in this goddamn town? I would be the mayor of Malibu and Santa Monica.
You unify the two towns,
two warring
and there'd
beach
be no
towns.
maybe about it. It would be solid.
No more territorial surfing. That would be my stance. Unifying surf bros. Balthazar228. Thank you so much, Balthazar, for shaving your knuckles for justice. I've been trying to find it, but I've seen in the last two analysis of foreign policy voting, Bernie's record had higher scores than Tulsi. FP for America is one, and I'll have to find the other one.
I think Code Pink also gave him a little. I mean, look, it's one of those things. I mean, you can comb the records of each. You're going to find imperfections in both of them.
He's been voting for longer. She's been in Congress for what, 7 years or something?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think the imperfections of both of them, none of them are that egregious in my opinion. And they're things we talk about there's a difference between a legitimate criticism of Bernie or Tulsi and the crazy smears they get from the corporate media.
Right.
And us, we both like both of them. There's a lot of good things.
Yeah.
And we should, as indie media, whatever we want to call ourselves, should be pointing out the things that we have a problem with.
Yeah.
Her
absolutely.
stance on charter schools that she just came out, I was like, no, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that.
Exactly.
Well, and she's against the jobs program. I mean, there's definitely some things that are, but I mean, as far as foreign policy, getting back to Balthazar's comment, I mean, neither one of them have a perfect record.
No.
Nobody does. But I would say that compared to everybody else, I guess with the exception to Yang, because he's not been in office.
Yeah.
So his record is just, there's nothing there yet. But, they're light years beyond.
Yeah.
I mean, Biden, Buttigieg.
And there's a difference, I think, between making an incorrect decision at the time, like what Bernie did with Afghanistan. And I loved how he said it. He goes, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Barbara Lee was the only one.
Mm-hmm.
She was right. Versus that's different. Like Tulsi making some decisions because, she was raised a certain way and has turned the corner or whatever. And some of her decisions or policy or stuff, I think, is rooted in the fact that she did grow up very conservative. She's come more to the left. And she's coming to her decisions at that time, like fairly, it seems to me at least, honestly.
Yeah.
Whether you agree with them or not, that's different than, I have a career of taking money from these assholes and just whichever way the wind blows, Warren, I was a Republican and now I'm a this and now I'm,
There's no footage of Bernie or Tulsi saying how they want to prostitute themselves for money like Joe Biden has.
Yeah.
There's no footage of them speaking at a Federalist meeting like Liz Warren. There's no, I mean, honestly, and
any
I'm
wine cave footage?
Yeah, right? No kidding. I'm not one of these people who say that people can't change. I'm really not. So I try not to over amplify Liz Warren's past as a Republican. But when you look at her politically, that's the only thing she was consistent on for more than a week, being Republican. Well, everything else changes with the week.
If her voting record since she switched in age 47 and her political record supported all these lefty progressive things, I'd be like, yeah, so what? But look, October of 17, she gave Trump an extra $80 billion for the war budget. Like, she stood and clapped for him.
And the only reason she didn't vote for his latest military budget is because she's running for president.
Yes.
What are the coincidences? If it's coincidental that you switch your stance right when you're about to run for office and it's not genuine.
This is Elizabeth Warren, not as a 47-year-old. This is like less than a year ago.
We renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country.
Pelosi claps. It's about to get circled in a second there. There she stands, right there. Yep, there she is. And then all these meatheads start chanting USA like they're at a goddamn football game.
Yeah.
I think Bernie and AOC, were they the only ones that sat there and were like...
Sat. So it's like...
Bernie just sat there with a pissed off look on his face.
That tells me who Liz Warren is. And that's telling me who she is. If she sat there and said no and was voting for all these democratic socialist policies, then I would say, I don't care that she was a Republican when she was 47. I really wouldn't care, But that's telling me today that actually there's still a tie to that 47-year-old Republican Liz Warren, who's standing going capitalism for this guy. The Democrats all claim Trump is the worst guy ever. He's like Nazi, he's a Hitler. So what she's doing, what Bernie did is the equivalent of that photo of everybody doing the Nazi salute to Hitler and that one guy with his arms folded.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If Trump is that bad as Warren and all the Democratic people say, then why are you clapping for this guy? Because at your core, you're still a Reagan Republican.
You're a capitalist to your bones.
Exactly.
Yes. By your own words.
You believe in markets.
You're living it.
Yes. I'm not for universal disarmament, which means I'm going to take money in the general if I make it past the primary. That's what she means, which means, hey guys, I'll play progressive for the progressives in the primary, but then I'll just kowtow to the corporations once I'm the nominee.
Not to mention her Medicare for All isn't Medicare for all.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a public option now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Waffling on everything.
And Julian Castro did the same thing. That's why they're together now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people that lie about Medicare for all, they stick together.
And
I love the whole I'm for markets argument. Guess what? Public service announcement to the people who I'm a capitalist to my bone because I'm for markets. Market socialism, totally a thing.
Yeah.
Totally a thing.
Wow. Nice. The other thing, too, to point out to her green military.
Yeah. Green bomb.
So would that's what would have killed Soleimani if she was president? Is a biodiesel powered rocket? Oh, great!
I think it would have been a compost bomb. If they would have gotten this stuff. I think you can actually get that from Highland Park. It would be like eggshells and banana peels.
Okay. So. I'm sure everybody in Iran will be so happy getting the shit bombed out of them, knowing the rockets were powered.
The air will be cleaner.
Yeah.
So it's like, it'll be like, oh, that's.
Well, the drones will have solar panels on them. That's how they'll be powered. So they're not putting all that stuff in the air. I mean, they'll still drop bombs and kill civilians and poor people. But I'm sure Iran.
It's an environmentally sustainable way to do it.
So great. She's so great. I'm with her.
It's like you're destroying the planet and saving it at the same time. I know it's a rough concept, but it works.
That's why Julian Castro endorsing her is so like obvious to me. It's like, come on, that's perfect. I mean, he's the supposed pro-immigration guy that cares about immigrants, yet his foreign policy is just as terrible to lead into more refugees. So if you're going to be and that's my problem with him as a Latina. Like, it's like you care about immigrants, but yet your foreign policy is status quo and will continue producing more of the situations where we're going to have people in cages, where we're going to have these refugees, because we're going in there, we're going to pretty much replicate Hillary Clinton's foreign policy, where she went into Honduras and pretty much ousted Manuel Zelaya. And, now look what's happened in Honduras. The majority of these immigrants are from Honduras. So you can't
the only time that guy was remotely interesting was when he was dunking on Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah.
Which, a prerequisite, the only thing you have to be able to dunk on Beto O'Rourke, no English, read a newspaper once in the past 10 years. That's it. That's all. If you've done those two things, you too can dunk on Beto O'Rourke. It is not hard. And that's the only time Castro was remotely interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing. They deal with the border wall and immigration as just this thing just at the border. They don't talk about, and really Bernie and Tulsi are the only ones talking about all of the things that Tulsi has said it. Domestic policy is our foreign policy, right? And now Bernie started to say that, which is a good thing. Yeah. But no one talks about that. Sanctioning and bombing countries creates refugees and immigrants. So we stop sanctioning countries, we stop bombing them. People aren't going to need to come here. People don't want to leave their homes.
People want to leave their homes.
No one wants to walk 1,000 fucking miles. Like, would you want to do that if California had no more jobs and there was sanction and we were being bombed? Would you want to walk to Chicago? Or, would you want to do that? Give me a break.
I'd need a fuck of a good soundtrack.
I would need a really
Especially through the desert. Let's be real.
You would need all your favorite movies.
It would be a lot, dude.
How many times would we have to watch Falling Down on that walk? It'd be an amazing marathon.
Ron Placone is a falling down apologist. I have to say that out loud.
That's another component to Toastergate, really.
Still under investigation.
It's a movie about walking.
Yeah, it is.
That's true. Yes, it is.
That's Aaron, our producer.
Thank you, Aaron. That's awesome.
Once we started talking movies, that's when he chimed in. Because he was our producer on Comedy Film Nerds. Now defunct. That podcast is dead. Thanks, Aaron. I just blamed you for it. Plantastic Life. Shave your knuckles for justice. Who wins in a fight, Auntie Liz or Granny Petrol? Granny Petrol, she's mean as a snake.
Granny Petrol has a rough left hook. laced with oil and fracking fluid.
Now, Greta, if you punch a coal mine, it makes your fist stronger.
Remember, Greta, don't hit first, but you're allowed to hit back. And you hit back harder than you get an adult.
Always remember to tap them out, Greta.
The best adults are made of coal.
Oh, a fan of mine who's up on Patreon, Adam, sent me a Granny Petrol video that he did that I'm gonna go through it and we're gonna watch.
Is it animated?
I believe so.
We brought her to life.
That's why Granny Petrol loves Frosty the Snowman. It's because his eyes are made of coal.
Yeah.
The only way to see Greta is looking through coal.
We were married in 1945.
Look, I'm not for universal disarmament. Sometimes it's okay to drink oil. Balthazar228 was just curious about your thoughts. Yes, I think we answered that, Balthazar. Thank you so much.
He's not mentioning Streamlabs just to fuck with us.
I know.
He's like, I'll show them. Streamlabs.
He's playing mind games. Have a tall glass of crude, Greta. I love that you guys love Granny Petrol more. I said I was going to make more Granny Petrol videos, and I haven't, but I will. It's my pledge to you in 2020.
For 2020, more Granny Petrol.
Granny Petrol. I'm going to try. I just need a bad wig and a green screen, and I can do those.
You know what you need, dude? You need to interview Greta Thunberg as Granny Petrol.
Yeah, I was just thinking
That's what you got to do. You gotta give her a little. I mean, she's young. You gotta kind of give her a little precursor. Like, all right, I'm gonna interview you as this like pro coal grandma. Just roll with it. Have fun.
Please do.
She's got a good sense of humor. She updated her Twitter bio profile and messed with Trump. That was
That was great. I give her mad.
She'll roll with it. You just gotta,
All right.
Do it.
I'm assuming.
Greta, have you ever taken an improv class? You'd be able to use it here.
Yes, and coal is good for you, Greta.
Yes, and drill, baby, drill. Yes, and was Obama's environmental policy.
Yes, and we'll see how Dapple plays out.
Yes, and all of the above. That was the real plan, Greta.
Yes, and Flint's water is fine. Fake sip. All right. Louise Brooks, shave your knuckles for justice.
Second city, more like second planet. All right.
Oh, I could do Granny Petrol morning, noon, and night.
You should have done the show as her.
As
Would
her.
have been much more.
All right, I'll do that. Louise Brooks, Ricky Gervais called out Epstein not committing suicide. Go, Ricky. Yeah, that was
so funny.
And Epstein didn't kill himself. Just
I've always liked a lot of Gervais's shows. I mean, I thought Extras was genius. I thought it was so funny. Afterlife is brilliant. I recommend it. And I'm starting to like him even because I watched that clip, and you know how like when you watch a clip, sometimes YouTube will still give you clips of the person if they're big enough. So I watched Ricky Gervais's Golden Globes thing. So then they started sending me other Ricky Gervais clips. You know what I mean? I'd see and I watched a debate between him and Stephen Colbert about religion. And he obliterates Stephen Colbert very politely. It was actually a really interesting discussion. I'm like, man, I enjoy this guy. Yeah. Like, I enjoy a lot of what this guy has to say. I didn't realize before.
Yeah, somebody's saying, what do you think of Australian wildfires? It wasn't climate change after all. No, I disagree with that. Even if people did start them, the fact that they have spread and that were exacerbated. So let's just say the truth is that they were all artificially started, right? The fact that they have spread is two reasons. Well, maybe more than two. Years of drought, which are fueled by climate change, which creates this very dry environment, and then the heat, no rain, all of this stuff makes the fires 10 times worse. So to say it wasn't climate change is just completely wrong, and all you're doing is you're just repeating oil lobby talking points.
You're wrong, Graham. If children wouldn't play with matches, Australia would be fine.
Oh, Granny, no.
A young man had a Zippo, and now everything's ruined.
I don't think that
Rake leaves, Granny.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. That's like Trump saying we should just rake leaves. Yeah, it's
I would rake my leaves with a coal-powered steam engine in 1921.
Yeah, what is happening in Australia is horrifying, and it is a direct result of climate change. Because if we haven't had all the decades of drought. It's awful what's happening in Australia. So, and all our Aussie viewers, man, Ron and I were just there. And
we didn't start the fire.
Yeah, exactly. And just the fact that some pyro started it, so it's not climate change, is just ridiculous. That's just not. Do a little more.
And best wishes, of course, to all of our friends in Australia.
Yeah,
it was awesome, and we can't wait to see you again. And
and vote Scott Morrison the fuck out.
Seriously.
Get that asshole out of there and get a Green as your president.
And shout out to all the comics. I mean, I know a lot of the comics we met, they're all throwing benefits right now.
Yep.
They're all trying to help out the best they can, which is really cool. And in Australia, we're pulling for you.
Yeah, for sure, man. Will Anderson has done stuff and all that. So, all right, we got to bang through these super chats. We're about ready to wrap up here. Mberg33, shave your knuckles for justice. Tulsi Bernie should start letting Greens in their base and administration. I'm sick of them just omitting us, Dr. Jill Stein and Green New Deal leader position. No, I totally agree with that. And I would like to see more of co-opting the Greens and a movement for a People's Party into the Bernie.
Well, they have to win first.
They got to win first.
They got to win first.
They got to win.
Let's see what they do when they win.
They're not going to be in opposition to more parties.
They're not in a position to do that yet. Once they get there, hopefully they'll do that.
The biggest hurdle is the DNC.
Yeah.
Let's make it real clear. Yeah. The DNC is the enemy. That is the single biggest hurdle to having real progressives in government.
Yeah.
So...
our values are blocking you.
Yeah. Balthazar 228, shave your knuckles for justice. Disregard the FP for America one. They gave Warren T. Void 100%, and Nancy, my face moves more than my policy. Pelosi 100%. I'll have to find the second one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. What? Yeah. Discard that.
Ooh, who funded that? Granny Petrol?
Yeah.
Is that hers? Is that her site?
I care about the entire world. Here's who's doing good.
ExxonMobil is an environmental organization. Pulling oil out, dirty oil, you want to pull it out of the water.
I'm ranking all of my favorite donor dinners. I mean, saying who's the best on foreign policy.
I'm serving coal in my wine cave,
Greta, you get an F.
Balthazar 228, shave your knuckles for justice. Do you think any of the candidates who won't get the threshold of 15% by the convention required for delegates hurt those who will if they stay? Great question. What do you think of that?
I think we're not quite there yet, but I mean, we got to see what happens as we get closer.
I don't think if they get over 15% they hurt, because they're obviously not getting over that amount. So I don't think it necessarily hurts them. I just think maybe, for instance, Tulsi has said that she's going to go all the way to the convention. I don't know what that means. If she doesn't get enough, will she drop out and endorse Bernie? I'm not sure. That's up to her and her campaign. But what I know is that they're doing everything they can to stay there. And I think it's always good to have an ally. And I think she's Bernie's only ally. At this point. I mean, Elizabeth Warren isn't going to be an ally. We know that. Even if she is, she's going to do it for self-motivation rather than for the greater good.
And Hillary Clinton will be pulling on Warren's strings.
Exactly. All the rest of them are establishment status quo. Andrew Yang could be an ally, but really, I just feel like he's been pandering to the centrist a lot lately.
Yeah, and I think the herd is still going to thin between now and then, too. That's why I'm saying it's still early, because there's still, even this far along, there's still a lot of people around. The herd's going to thin more. Yeah. And I think that, I mean, we're slowly going in the direction, and this is some good news, where it's like, no, it's not Liz Warren who's going to take some Bernie votes. It's going to be Liz Warren and Biden are splitting the establishment, which that's the best thing we can hope for.
Yeah.
Balthazar 228, I gave up Ron's donation, blocked that for 2 years. This is a Streamlabs thing. Jedi Mullet 77, thank you so much. You're always a good supporter of the show. But Greta, if we eliminate oil, the disaster relief workers will be out of a job. Also, lungs will not be able to adapt from smog to real oxygen.
We're making you stronger, Greta.
Breathing CO2 makes you a strong, vibrant young woman, not all angry fighting at adults. All right, one more here. There is, where is she? Louise Brooks. Shave your knuckles for justice. Please tell me Toastergate did not cause fires. No, it did not.
No. It could have, but it didn't. We caught it right in time.
No, Ron, that did not cause the fires at all.
Chaos Agent 11 tells the truth behind Toastergate on my channel.
Yes.
So you can go find that.
There's the truth about that.
There's the truth behind Toastergate.
We've talked about this. There's a theory that, Big Gluten was somehow involved in this.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, would I ever give up Big Cat for Big Gluten? I mean, you decide, viewer. You decide.
Big Cat for Gluten. We cannot confirm or deny Lucy's whereabouts during Toastergate. I cannot go into any
She was in California.
Was she? I don't know. That's all I'm asking. I'm just saying. Was she? That's all I'm saying.
They can travel.
I don't know.
They can move.
Weird that
they got a great sense of direction, those cats.
I'll just say, Ron, this is weird that the video footage from that Airbnb has just suddenly disappeared. I find that curious. I go to yoga, the video camera just happens.
We asked the family for it. They were like, well, that's weird.
That's weird. We never had a
Where's
camera.
The camera?
Where's the video yapper? All right, so Toastergate is still an ongoing investigation. I have a lot of serious questions regarding it. Just all I'm saying. I want to know.
I plead the fifth.
I want to know exactly where Lucy was. I want to know why the footage disappeared. When I leave to go to yoga, that's when the camera breaks, and that's when the toaster thing happens. Weird.
Toast didn't burn itself.
Yeah, toast didn't burn itself.
Toast can't melt steel beams.
No. Oh, toaster number 7. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to talk about anything else. Toaster number 7. That's all I'm going to say. Then I'm walking out of here. And weird that the toaster was on suicide watch and then taken off suicide watch. Can you explain that to me?
Look, man, there's some questions that I got to get through. Let's leave.
Backpedal. Listen to this.
At the next Bohemian Toast, we're going to get a lot of answers.
All right. Well, I'm not letting Toastergate go. Epstein and Toastergate. I'm not letting either one of those things go. Thank you so much. Fiorella, where can people follow you online and watch your show and all that stuff?
At the Convo Couch on YouTube, at Fiorella_IM on Twitter, at the Convo Couch on Twitter. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Periscope, as well as Rockfin. So check us out.
Ron?
I am at Ron Placone on Twitter, YouTube, ronplacone.com, and Ron Placone on Rockfin, Ron Placone on everything, and ronplacone.com for all those 2020 tour dates, which we got a bunch of them.
We just got a bunch of them. I will be updating GrahamElwood.com, I promise you. But go to see Ron and I on the road, Progressive Comedy Tour. And also, here's the thing. If you go to rockfin.com/GrahamElwood or just Rockfin, if you, for $10 a month, you get all of our premium content. All 3 of our shows are on Rockfin. So you get all of our premium content for only $10 a month. And, my videos, I'm assuming these guys do it, they're all ad-free on Rockfin. And it's blockchain cryptocurrency, so you cannot be, it can't be bought by Google. We're all the content creators, so everybody at this table, we're owners of that channel, including anybody else that's on that channel. So Nico House is on there, and everybody else. Sam Tripoli, who records in this room. So thank you, everybody, for coming out of the show. Thank you for all of the super chatters. I really appreciate it. Everybody that watched and liked and subscribed. Thank you, Taylor and Action for Assange for being the moderator. I hope you didn't have to kick out too many trolls. Or maybe you did. Maybe it's fun. I don't know. And again, all of our tour dates. See us on the road. My name is Graham Elwood. You are all making Gotham great again. And shave your knuckles for justice. Boom.